It's such an incredible arc. I have a question for you, and I actually asked this question to my youth leader when I was a very little kid, like 6 or 7 years old, and I think it's relevant, and I think you could give an interesting thing. As a kid, I struggled. I loved the military forever. I still do. I'm 30 years old now, but I was raised in a religious family, a Christian family, and I didn't understand how you could square being a Christian with we might have to kill people. And so what do you tell people, or like how can you claim to be, Christianity, Christian, but you're more than okay with killing people? I mean, I think I understand. I can square it just fine now. I grew up a little bit, but what would you say to someone who might not get that?
David, this is the number one most often asked question that I get, and probably 3,000 times somebody has asked me that question. There's a long and a really the adequate answer is going to take longer than this broadcast, but I will say the short answer. One, for me, there was never a struggle between being an Army Ranger, killing bad guys on the battlefield, and being a Christian. I never struggled with it. Second, I see a distinction in the Bible. It's very, very obvious between murder and killing. And what happens on a battlefield is killing, and even killing that may be sanctioned by the government, which is instituted by God. I'm not saying that God sent me to Somalia to kill bad guys. I'm saying that God established the United States government, and the U.S. government sent me there. And I view myself, by extension, as a part of the U.S.'s military force that keeps peace around the world. Keeping peace sometimes means killing the guys that would destroy peace for others. And for me, I don't struggle with that. But as an Army chaplain, part of my responsibilities were to interview the guys and gals that said, I don't think I can do this because of my faith. They were conscientious objectors. And I just want to say, I have a very soft spot in my heart for people who don't agree with me. I totally understand where they're coming from. I completely support their point of view. I just look at it differently, and I'm not where they are. So to this day, I've never struggled. And I just want to say this, never lost a night of sleep over all of the killing that I've done or seen on the battlefield. I've never struggled with that, but I do recognize that a lot of people do. And for me, it's just because of my theology and the way that I interpret the Bible.
That's a,
There's a
that's
lot more, like an hour's worth of answer that deserves to be said here, but that's where I am on it.
that will more than suffice for the time being. And I can't remember the exact, but when I was a kid, they pulled out the Bible and they read some verses, which I should be ashamed. I don't remember what they were, 23 years later. But no, and that's good to hear. And I wanted to ask you that. I had that right away at the top of the list of questions. When you
Can I just say this for your listeners? I'm sorry to interrupt you, David.
Go
If
ahead.
you're struggling with this and you're like, okay, Jeff, I don't get where you're coming from, then go to the Old Testament, go look at the book of Deuteronomy, Numbers, Deuteronomy, and Joshua, and go read the passages about what's called the cities of refuge, because you will see God is making a very clear distinction between murder and killing, and he commands Israel to protect those who killed, but to hand over those that murdered, and even set special cities aside where they will be protected, because God views this as two very different things.
Perfect. Well, there you go for the viewers.